Let's face it, no wealth manager gets into the business for the love of regulatory reporting, but compliance isn't optional, and the burden is only growing. So what if regulatory reporting could go from being a cost center to a competitive edge? Today's guest is here to show us how. Hi, and welcome to Wealth Insider, a podcast by Performativ. This is where industry meets insight, where we sit down for honest and engaging conversations with voices from every corner of the financial world. Together, we explore trends, strategies, and partnerships that are shaping the future of wealth management. Wealth Insider brings you closer to the people and the ideas that are driving the industry forward. Hi, and welcome back to Wealth Insider. I'm your host, Christian Lindvall, Global Commercial Director at Performativ. And today I'm thrilled to be joined by Christian Lysholm. He's the Managing Director and Chief Commercial Officer at Qvonto. Christian, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for inviting me.
So let's kick things off. Can you introduce Qvonto and the types of firms you work with?
Yes, I would love to, Christian. Qvonto is a technology company. So we are using technology to support companies in their regulatory reporting. We are working with wealth managers, with asset managers. We are working with companies in the Nordics. We are working with companies in Benelux, Switzerland, Germany, and so on. And it's both smaller clients up to the largest clients here. For all clients, it really makes sense to automate your reporting. And that's what we do. We offer an automation of the reporting so you don't have to spend all your time on calculations, copy-pasting data in, and so on. You get a solid foundation and data that you can trust. So that's the core of Qvonto.
And then I guess what drew you personally to the challenge of transforming the compliance regulatory reporting industry?
Yeah, I know it's a bit of it's a good question, I would say, because, how did I end up in regulatory reporting? That question I have asked myself also. I think what I really find important with regulatory reporting is that it's a need to have. It's not a nice to have. It's a license to operate. So for your clients, for the wealth managers, for the asset managers, it is a license to operate, to allow them to do their wonderful investments and provide that to their clients. So that's what I really find amazing, and that you can then support the industry with technology. When I realized what you can do with technology here, then I was just blown away that you can automate everything and take away all these daily hassles. So, and I would also say I have a wonderful technology team. They do magic within this area, so it's amazing to follow what you can do.
SFDR, PRIIPs, MiFID II, this sort of alphabet soup of compliance terms, it just keeps getting thicker and thicker. What are wealth managers struggling with the most right now? What's their biggest challenge in this space?
Yeah, it is really a lot of new abbreviations coming in, a lot of new requirements coming, and what I can really see is that it is a huge burden, because over the last years here we have seen that reporting requirements, they increase, but also the detailing level and the difficulties of calculations and so on are increasing, and also the need for data. So they definitely struggle a lot within wealth and fund managers to try to keep up and understand this new complex reporting.
And I think maybe harkening back a bit to the SFDR, PRIIPs, like how have those regulations sort of changed the industry in your eyes?
Again, back to it's a license to operate. It's something that you must secure. And I think it has had a big impact, especially also if you look at the SFDR regulation, the Sustainable Finance Regulation here. And you have to consider a bit, what is the background then for all this regulation? And of course, it is a lot of, you can say, objectives put up by United Nations, by the EU, that wanted a sustainable future for all of us. And the United Nations making the 17 development goals, and then the whole framework of SFDR is to help asset managers and private capital, to go towards more green investments. So the objective is amazing, but it's of course a big burden. But I think, it is also to see the possibilities in it as well, because creating transparency and comparability between investments is, of course, the best you can do for the investors.
With the firms you work with, maybe a little bit off topic here, but how are you seeing firms embrace this? Is it more of like we have to do it, in order to, be a viable firm, but is there energy towards it, or is it just like an annoyance? We have to do it, so we're going to do it. Like, what are you hearing from firms in that sense?
I think we hear both. Yeah. Actually, to be honest, we hear some that this is just something that needs to be done, and we have to get it done. But there are also many that you see embrace it, and they see it as a competitive advantage. They use it and say, okay, then we want to be the best within the green investments and this. So, and also in the communication, it's of course a strong message to send to your clients here. So we really see that some are using it a lot.
And then what trends are you seeing with firms in regards to ESG-related disclosures?
I've definitely seen that now it's a couple of years that all the asset managers and wealth managers have been struggling with this. And everything what we see is typically manually done. It's manual processes, it's manual calculations, it's writing it in a Word document, calculating in Excel, copy-pasting in, and so. And what we have seen lately here, especially within the last 6-8 months, is that, okay, you have realized this is tough work, and they are looking for alternatives. So they are ready to find solutions that can help them in this. Of course, you need to understand the regulation first and go through it 1 or 2 times, and then they are very open to change and finding systems that can support them.
So let's talk about Qvonto's core functionality. How does your system actually simplify the reporting process?
Yes, let me elaborate a bit on that. The ambition is really to that clients can focus on their core, on providing the best investments. And then we want to take away all the manual work and hassle with the reporting here. And how it basically works is that you upload your portfolio, and then in the system, immediately you get all the ESG metrics and calculation of CO2 footprint, gender diversity in the board, and all these different metrics that you need. When you then want to do a special report, you just choose the report. It could be an SFDR periodic report. For an Article 9 fund, you choose the report, you bind it together with your portfolio, and you push generate. And then within 1.5 seconds, you'd basically get a full report out with all the different tables, charts, ESG metrics, sentences are built, and there are a few areas where you can then add your own objectives and so on. But you basically get the whole foundation for the report. That's the whole core. So make a full foundation, and then you just add the small value-adding comments to it there. And if you then get it now in English, and you also need it in Swedish or Dutch, then you just choose the language, you push translate, and then you get the full report out in that language there.
Do your customers then use this for client-facing communication, Qvonto, as a tool, or is it simply just a back-office tool for most of your customers?
I would say it's both, but also a lot. All the data points are needed, you can say, in the client communication. So in that way, parts of the reports are being heavily used in the client communication. And as regulations adhere to that, it has to be consistent on the data side, of course. Then everything needs to bind together. That's also why we are adding more and more of different reports, also not just regulatory reports, but also reports that just tell in a bit more easy way about the ESG metrics here. So definitely used also in client communication.
Maybe to the ease of using the system, what's your vision for one-click compliance?
Yeah, also this is a term I love, because this is what it's all about in Qvonto. It is when you push the button and then we come out with a full report. yes, you can say now for the SFDR report, which is fairly text heavy, we come out with a report that is 85% ready, and then you add your investment objectives and a few other things there. But we create sentences and everything. But in the more data heavy reports, we basically provide a full 100% report with all data points. So, and this is where we are now. End of year, we want to be at 95% or even higher. So it is going so fast in the development and the possibilities here.
And what's the feedback, I guess, live feedback you're getting from customers as far as time saved? You talk a lot about automation, of course, and taking away all the manual work that they've been doing. What's the feedback you've been given from customers as far as like, you've saved us this amount of time? How's that conversation gone?
We really see a very, very positive development, and we try to measure it where they do the reporting manually and do it with a system like ours here. And what we see is that at least 90% of the manual tasks are saved. So it's a severe saving. And you can also say if you just take the translation part of it, then it's, you choose the language, you click the button, then you have the report. That would take a couple of hours to conduct, to secure that all charts, tables, everything is matching and translated. So it's quite a severe. And we develop the whole product together with the clients. The client feedback is like the best indicator for the direction we need to go on the development side. So when we hear things, we always take it in, and then it's probably also counting for others. So that's how we all the time optimize and build and find out what's the next report to fill in the system.
So you mentioned translations before, and you actually offer instant translations into 24 different languages, I think. So how important is localization in regulatory reporting right now?
It is very important. As both in the client communication, I think it gives a whole different dimension when you communicate in the client's own language. So I think in that way it creates a better dialogue. And also the regulatory reporting, there you have to provide it in the country or in the language that you're marketing your product in. So you need to provide it in the local languages for most of it. So therefore, it's crucial, I would say. We have clients that are where we are doing reports in 13 different languages and so on. And that's where you, of course, see that it's a big help that you have one system where you just push the buttons. So.
And then how do you handle large firms that have complex product ranges and then maybe are doing business in multiple jurisdictions?
Yeah, I would say that's some of the clients that get the most value for money when they use a system here. That's where we really can take a lot of pain out of the picture. If we just consider one example here, I was sitting with a large Nordic asset manager. They have around 100 investment funds. They are reporting then in at least 3 to 5 different reporting templates, and they are reporting in 10 different languages. So very fast you get to thousands of reports that needs to be produced, needs to be updated. And if you change one thing in the French version, it needs to spill through towards all the other reports. So this is, it's a huge task for the larger companies. And that's where we see that we work with one data foundation. So we secure that, all data are used from the same source here. There are no inconsistencies across templates, across the different language versions here. So therefore it's crucial for these companies.
What advice do you have for larger firms who are looking for an overhaul of their compliance infrastructure but are scared to jump into a project like that? Because we all know IT overhauls are cumbersome and expensive. So what kind of advice would you give to a firm who's looking to do that?
And I think you touched something very crucial here, because when we talk to the larger clients there, then the first thing they say is, of course, that, if it's something related to IT, they have no resources. They are booked until 2027 or something like that. So that's just a no-go. And But I think there are solutions like ours where you don't need to do the integration. We have developed everything in a way so integration can be at a minimum. You can start with no integration at all. You just upload your portfolio in an Excel file. no integration needed. Then we have integrated with data providers and everything to conduct everything and include data. And then we can take it step by step and then just get all the portfolio data automatically in the system, get more things directly in. So that has been crucial for us to develop it, because no IT department is accessible. That's definitely our experience. But so my advice is really don't hold back, because this is you don't need to be too scared of the IT integration. There is no integration needed. We start from day one, and then we can always do it if you feel for some smaller integrations.
So what's the most important lesson you've learned when working with wealth and asset managers across Europe that surprised you?
I would say some of the lessons I have seen is really that the clients haven't put enough attention to the regulatory reporting. And they haven't partnered with the companies that could help them in the process here. What we have seen, especially in the last years, is that it's just getting more and more complicated, and it's data-driven, and there's a need for solid data to undermine, to show your points and track your performance. And we have seen examples of asset managers that they are simply haven't been deep enough into their regulatory reporting. And of course, this is a license to operate. So what it can mean, we have seen examples of that asset managers have not been allowed for periods to market their investment products to clients because they need to get things in order on the reporting side. We have also seen asset managers that they basically haven't had a solid enough data foundation and been fully clear on the ESG metrics, so they can be accused for greenwashing. So that is, of course, a huge reputational risk that you are running here with a product if you suddenly get out in the press in this way here. So my advice is definitely to focus on it and to get the right setup in place, and to partner with some that can advise you on the way here and share some best practice on where should you be careful, how can we together find ways so you can actually measure these things and underline it and show it to your investors. So,
and you actually mentioned, like, you work with small firms to mid-size to banks. For a smaller wealth manager who is likely doing it manual and is less likely to jump on and use the technology, what would you say to them to get them to, join up with somebody like Qvonto and start to use it to their benefit?
Yeah, what we see with some of our smaller clients, that it is a lot of time that they spend in just doing the calculations, putting things in the layout and copy pasting. And the worst part is that it's often then the fund manager or the asset manager himself that is sitting doing a lot of this work, because they have the insights to the products there. So you can say it's the most crucial persons that are doing it. And so that's why it really can make sense. It can free up resources from the specialist there. So I think that's the most crucial. They need to focus on providing the best investment products to their clients and not just doing reporting here. So that's where we can make a difference. Take that task away from them.
So in your eyes, what's the most underrated part of the compliance journey?
I would say that you can actually use it as a tool, as a competitive advantage. So I think the intentions about the whole regulatory setup is typically to create transparency and focus on ESG metrics and so on. So if you use it towards your clients and in your investment objectives, it can be very, very powerful for you. So I think that's what where we have seen asset managers and wealth managers really creating value by giving a good transparency and follow up on the data, so the clients can really understand their products even better and make the investment decisions that are based on a solid foundation.
So now, how do you see Qvonto evolving over the next few years?
technology is on our side, and when you already have a solid system you work with, and you have regulation that is setting some clear boundaries here, all the new technologies like AI, machine learning, and so you can use them to an amazing extent. So we see huge developments. This one-click reporting is really getting in, and we just see the level of, we can increase the level of quality in the reporting so much. We can do reviews, and so it's a lot will happen. And then of course on the whole monitoring side, because one thing is doing the reports, but you need to follow up over time. You need to all the time know, are you within the limits of the asset managers and so on. And that's where we are working heavily now to give these overview sheets and real time where you can see how are the ESG metrics then working out. So it's a super exciting time ahead.
So if you could change one thing about the current regulatory reporting regime, what would it be?
When I see the regulatory reports, they are not the most easy to read, of course, and you can see it is reports more made by lawyers than by people being used to communicate about investments. So I would have hoped for reports that could present it even better to the investors and make even better transparency just in the way they present it. And I would say it's something where we are then taking steps ourselves to create reports specifically then for clients, for stakeholders, for the management team, and so where we can show all these ESG metrics in a bit more readable and easy to approach way here. So I think the lawyers got maybe too much power there, and the communicators could have had a bigger saying here, but we'll handle that.
So last question for you here. Let's fast forward to 2030. What do you think regulatory reporting is going to look like for a wealth or asset manager at that time?
It's a good question. And I think we can for sure say that regulatory reporting is here to stay. I hope for some simplifications that would actually be nice for everybody, but we will only see extended reporting demands. So it is here to stay. And if we fast forward to 2030, well, there you will just see a whole new level of presenting things and even higher automation. And you can say all your clients, they also choose to go away from the legacy systems. I have been in several banks, and it's terrible what they need to work with there. So choosing a Performativ and getting the information out in a proper way and nicely showed and so on, that is, the future. And that is also the future for regulatory reporting. That's where we are going. We want to present it in a nice way, make it easy and approachable. So we will definitely do the same within regulatory reporting, for sure.
Christian, I think that is a great place to end. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we hope to have you back on soon.
Yes, it was a pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.
That's it for this episode of Wealth Insider. If you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find more insights on Performativ.com, and we'll be back soon with more conversations from the people redefining wealth management.